Okay, here we go. In this Java tutorial, we're going to take a look at variables, some output to the screen, and also some user input. Just reminding you, any mistakes that I make in this tutorial, we're just going to plow right through them. So I'm not editing this video or anything like that because programmers make mistakes, and you're about to see a programmer probably make a lot of them, but we're going to fly right through them anyways. So first thing we're going to talk about is something called a variable. A variable is a super important concept in programming. It's a spot in the computer where we can store a value. So when I do this, basically what I'm doing is I'm telling the computer that I need a spot in the computer to store something called an integer. And in my program, whenever I need to access that spot, I'm going to call it num1. So in other words, I'm getting the computer, my program is getting the computer to make a little spot somewhere inside where it's going to store a number. I can also do this. This is another variable. My variable name is going to be called, well, actually it's called name, and then the variable type is going to be a string. So this is actually going to hold letters. And then I can do another one called double, and this is going to be an also, so I'll just call this number. So three different variables. One is an integer type, which is called num1. One is a string type, which is called name, and one is of type double, and that's going to be a number. So then I can put different stuff in. So for example, I can make num1 equal 33. Add my semicolon. I can make name equal Tim, and then I can make my number equal, let's say, 45.6. So as you can see, integers hold values that don't have any decimal numbers. They can also hold negative numbers. Doesn't matter. Strings hold like characters, and you put them in quotation marks. And then, whoops, and doubles hold decimal numbers. So these are different variables, and we can output them if you want. SOUT tab, and instead of outputting like 33, I can now output num1. I can output, I'm just going to do Control C, Control V here. I can output name, and I can output number. And if I run this, then it actually outputs those values. So it doesn't output the words num1 and the words name and the words number. It actually outputs what these values actually have inside of them. And you can switch the values around. So at this point I have num1 equals 33. I can change it. They're variable, so in other words they can change. So I can make num1 equal 22. Now when I run this, it wouldn't output 33, it would actually output 22. So things have changed around. I can also make it output, I can do some math here, 22 plus 22, or I can even declare another variable called num2, and I can make num2 equal num1 plus, I don't know, 10. We can do some math on it like that. I'll copy this line of code, so at the end I'll also output num2, and if I run this, I'll get 44, which was num1. I'll get Tim. I'll get 45.6, which was number, and then num2 equals 54. So how are these useful in a program? Let's start all over again. Let's make a program that asks the user their name. It asks for their weight in pounds, and then we transfer that weight from pounds to kilograms. So I'm going to need a variable called fname. That's going to be their first name. I'm going to have a variable called, which is a double, because it may hold a decimal number, and that's going to be weight in pounds. And I can do it on the same line. I also need a variable for weight in kilograms. I'm going to actually have one more variable, and that's going to hold their age. And that's going to be an integer, because they're not going to type in that they're 22 and a half or whatever. They're going to probably enter like a whole number without any decimal numbers. So then we need to output to the screen. So SOUT, hello. I'll make a really nice program here. Hello, please enter your name. So that's going to ask their name. Now we want to actually get their name from the screen. So there's a little bit to this. So follow me along. First of all, we have to import something. java.util.scanner. And there's a few ways to do this. There's a few ways to get, I'm just going to delete this commenting here. There's a few ways to get input from the screen, but we're going to do it this way. So we go import java.util.scanner. And then in our code, I'm going to delete this line as well. In one of our first lines, we're going to have a scanner. We're going to call it keyed input. It's going to be a new scanner and system.in. Now, I would really suggest you write this down. So on a scrap piece of paper, on a little sticky note near your computer or something, you write down that line of code right there, because you're going to need that every single time you have input from the user. And then you also want to maybe write those two as well and keep that close to you. A lot of programmers will have sticky notes like all over the place, or they've got these little sheets that they write all their kind of cheat code on, quick cheat sheet type of thing. So you want to write code like that on there. So this is going to say, hello, please enter your name. And then I'm going to use that scanner. So I'm going to say first name equals keyed input dot next line. It's going to be next line because it's actually a string. So because first name was a string, I use next line. And if I run that program, it'll say, please enter your name, and then it'll grab their name. I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V. This time I'm going to say, please enter your age, and we're not going to save it in first name, we're going to save it in age. Age is an integer. So if you watch carefully, I will go keyed input dot, and in NetBeans it helps you out. So it's saying, look at all these possible things you might be thinking. So it tries to read your mind. I want next int because I'm going to store an integer. So please enter your age. So it's going to grab their age, and then I'm going to go Control C, Control V. Please enter your weight, and we're going to start with pounds, and then we're going to have weight LBS. And if you can tell, I'm reading an integer. That's not good. So I want to read a double. So next dot double, and that will read them all in. So if I run this real quick, we can take a look and make sure it's working. We don't want to write all of our code and then find out it doesn't work. So let's just run a little bit. Please enter your name. Let's say my name is Eric. Please enter your age. I'm 34. Please enter your weight in pounds. I am 54.5, whatever, 54.4. So that reads in a string, reads in an integer, reads in a double. So now that we've read in all those variables, let's figure out how to do a little bit of math. So what I'm going to do, I've set up some variables, and the word variable obviously means that it changes, so it's variable. I'm going to set up something called a constant. So up here I'm going to set up a constant called conversion, and I'm going to actually make that equal 2.2 right off the bat. So the conversion from pounds to kilograms is 2.2. So I'm going to set up this thing called a constant, and I can add some commenting in here. So comments are done with 2 forward slashes, and I'll just write, this is a constant to hold the conversion factor. And I use this keyword called final, meaning conversion is never going to change. So in my program, I'm never going to make conversion equals something else. I should do all caps there. We do all caps just so that we can see that it's a constant, and Java does not like you doing that. So because we've set it as a final, it doesn't like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that conversion factor to change from pounds to kilograms. So if I do some math here, my weight in kilograms is going to be, my weight in pounds divided by, I don't have to write 2.2, I could just write the conversion factor. So weight in kilograms is going to be my weight in pounds times the conversion factor. Now, as I said before, we want a really nice and kind program, so we don't want to just spit out the answer because the user wouldn't know what that number is. So we're going to put out a nice message here. So SOUT, and we'll write hello. Now we're not just going to write hello, we're going to make it personal. We know their name, so let's use it. So we're going to write hello plus F name. We're going to write you are, I mean they know how old they are, but that's okay. You are age years old. That's a nice sentence there. We'll do another one. You weigh, and we'll tell them how much they weigh in pounds. So weight LBSs plus, so you weigh this many pounds, so we'll write pounds, which is plus, and then we'll add their weight in kilograms. Sorry, just figuring it out here. There we go. So we're going to say, and we can space this out if we want to have some nice programming style here. But this will print this all on one line. So hello, whatever they typed in for first name. You are, whatever they typed in for age. Your weight, whatever they typed in for pounds, which is this in kilograms, and we did the math on that. So if we run this, let's see if it works. Please enter your name. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Please enter your name. My name is Billy. Please enter your age. I'm 22. Please enter your weight in pounds. I'm 145 pounds or 0.5 pounds. Hello, Billy. You are 22 years old. So it used these two values. Your weight 145.5 pounds, which is 66.11 blah 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 in kilograms. Missing some spaces, a lot of decimal points. We'll tackle the spaces. We just have to add a little space right here. The decimal points, we'll cover that in another tutorial, how to round these numbers. Nice job.